Okay, so I've got the data entered. We've got pulse before and pulse after for a group of males. And we're going to go stat, calc, 1var stats. I've got my data in list 2 and list 3. So list 3 was the after group. So there's the 126 for the mean. Standard deviation is 26.9. I've got the median. I pulled that out to 2. And then do the same thing, stat, calc, 1var stats on list 2, because that's where I stored my data. And I've got the mean of 74 and a standard deviation of 20.7. So the problem says compare the two data sets using the mean and the standard deviation. So let's just talk about these two pieces of information, right? So the after has a significantly different mean, so the average is much higher pulse rate for the after exercise, and then which has a larger spread of the data. Okay, well the standard deviation for the after group is 26.9, so the data is significantly more spread out from the mean. And we can also look at the range to do that too, right? So if I go to the box and whisker plots, I can see the range. So here is the box and whisker plot. So from 49 to 145, so what is that? That has a range of 90 points from, what was that? So 145 to 49. So if I go 145 minus 49, I get 96 points. So this has a range of 96. And then if I do the same thing for the other group, go back to my graph and trace. So I've got from 82 to 168. So if I go 168 minus 82, that has a range of 86. So interestingly, if we used the ranges to compare the spread, the before group has a larger range, but that's really created because of this 145, because we had an outlier there. Something interesting happened with that fellow. Maybe he ran to the gym or something. And then, but clearly there's a greater concentration of data around the mean here than there is here. And the only reason that this standard deviation is as large as it is because of that 145. So even if we include the 145, we have a heavier concentration of data around the before group than we do in the after group, even though the range is bigger. So if this had been a test question, I would probably have asked you to compare them, and I would have expected you to have commented on the effect of that outlier on the standard deviation and the range. Remember that these values are not resistant to outliers, and they definitely had a significant effect. In fact, if we go back and we go stat edit, and we remove the outlier here and rerun the numbers, watch what happens. If we now go stat calc 1var stats on list 2, minus the outlier, the average drops to 70, and the standard deviation drops down to 11, and the range is now from 49 to 88, so the range is only, 39 points? So that outlier had a significant impact on the differences between these two groups. So a complete summary of this data would include some conversation of that outlier. It didn't specifically ask you for it, but a good consumer of data is going to notice that that outlier is going to have a significant impact on any decision that we might make on comparing these two data sets. Must consider some discussion of that outlier. We're not going to just throw out the data because we don't like it, but we might question any decision that we make based upon these two data sets because of the effect of that one outlier.